This is Combat Talk, presented by Hot Take Sports.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Combat Talk, presented by Hot Take Sports. I'm your host, Clayton Scalina, here with one of our regular HTS partners, Matt White. And today we are joined by current Legacy Fighting Alliance middleweight Dylan, the Mindless Hulk Budka. Dylan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, brother.
You got a lot of titles. You know, you're way more than just a fighter. You know, you're a promoter, you're a coach. You've diversified yourself really well. Do you think that that's enhanced your experience as a fighter so far?
Oh, yeah, it's actually, it's allowed me to get my name out there, help me build my own brand of myself through other fighters and other businesses, as in the boxing series I have, the MMA promoting I do. It just helps me learn about other fighters and help others learn about me.
Today, more than ever, social media, growing your personal brand is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. Do you feel like you're learning more just kind of every day through your experiences with your different ventures?
Oh, yeah. Every day I learn a different way I can promote something else, and it helps me open up my mind to other things I can possibly do.
All right. Well, and with that, we'll kind of dive into our little question sheet here. I guess we'll just kind of start with what was life like growing up in Baltimore?
Life growing up in Baltimore was pretty crazy. It's a lifestyle where you always have to have your head over your shoulder, know what's around you, know your surroundings. Teaches you a lot about life than just living somewhere. It's not a regular place to live. When I came to Ohio, I felt like a whole bunch of weight was lifted off my shoulders because of the area I grew up in. So definitely taught me a lot about life.
So were you in like downtown Baltimore?
Downtown Baltimore.
Like in the middle of it?
Moved to middle of all of it. I moved all over the place while I was there. Dundalk, Maryland, Baltimore City, Essex, Maryland, all the different areas where it's pretty crazy.
So this is the middle of nowhere for you then?
Yeah, definitely the middle of nowhere. I didn't even know Finley was a thing until I came here, and I don't think a lot of people know what Finley was.
You and everyone
You're not
else.
alone, I promise. But growing up, what's kind of your athletic background? What sports were you involved with as a kid, and how did you kind of develop as an athlete?
I actually played every possible sport I could in Baltimore. I played soccer, basketball, football, baseball, tried everything, and then I eventually found wrestling, walking past the room one day, going to a basketball practice, and the coach said, "Hey, you want to try to tackle someone?" And then they taught me how to double leg, and that was what I did my whole high school career.
So you were a traitor.
Yeah.
We were both basketball players in high school.
That's how it always was. At our school, there's always a clash between the
that
basketball team and the wrestling team.
Yeah, and most of my friends were all basketball players too, so it was an argument I had of it. But eventually I said, I'll just take you down.
Yeah, there you go.
So did that kind of shape your high school sports experience? Did wrestling kind of take center stage?
As soon as I started wrestling, I was like, okay, yeah, I really like this, and I learned quick. I thought I was going to go to college for football all the way up until I went to college for wrestling. I don't know what made me choose do wrestling, but something in my head said do it, and now I'm here. So it all worked out.
Nice.
What was your college wrestling recruiting experience like? Like, did you have schools reaching out to you? Were you in communication with multiple different schools?
I had almost 10 scholars, 4 rides for football to Division II schools, and I had about 3 for baseball, and I had 1 scholarship for wrestling to Urbana University. It was a first-year program, and I thought, let's try it out and try to help their program out as much as I could. I thought it was cool that I wouldn't be trying to jump in to a school with only 2 years of experience of wrestling and going through all that work to take a spot from someone, and they've been wrestling their whole life. So new program, new school, I was like, let's try it out. And then after I went there, I didn't pass the recommendations for grades and stuff like that, so I eventually had to drop out. And then that's what made me find Notre Dame of college, where I eventually committed to for a full ride too.
How old are you? I'm sorry.
22.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I think Blaine Peterson was going to go to Urbana too. Shout out to him. He was a wrestler at our school. Yeah,
Nice.
He was 3 years older than us.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. That was cool. I thought I recognized the name. I was like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah, it's in the middle of nowhere too.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much.
What was your wrestling experience like at Notre Dame College? Like, kind of what was the life of a college athlete?
Oh man, that taught me a lot. I got fat right away because they gave all the wrestlers free swipes on their college. I don't know what you're talking about, if you know what I'm talking about.
Of course.
They took care of the wrestling team so good there, and I met a lot of it's like all the D1 wrestlers that didn't have good enough grades to go D1, so they had to go to this school. That's how it was like all the not good book school dudes and one big wrestling team and
the buffet style lunch.
Yeah,
Swipe once, all you can eat. Yep.
Oh man,
That'll get you.
It was good. That was one of my biggest favorite memories of Notre Dame. It was good lunch and everything. But being in that room with all them good wrestlers was crazy. I was training with 4-time high school national champs from Ohio, and it's only my third year wrestling. So it was crazy. I had guys from Ohio State that transferred from there into that room, and they're all killers, dogs, just taking me down every 3 seconds.
Iron sharpens iron, though, right?
Oh yeah. If you're beating everybody up in the room, you ain't in the right room. Yeah.
Good way to look at it.
So, kind of talk about your transition to MMA. How did you find Demolition Fight Team here in Findlay? Like you said, it's kind of the middle of nowhere compared to Maryland.
So Faraz Golden's one of our pro fighters here, and I was training at Notre Dame. He heard of Notre Dame, and he came and trained with the wrestlers for one of his pro fights, one of his first 2 pro fights. And he asked for some of the best wrestlers in the room to go with him. I met him the first day I met him. He actually gave me a knee to the face before I even knew what MMA was at all. And it was a week before team pictures, so I had this big old black eye. My coach was mad and everything. But,
that makes you look tougher for pictures, though. That's the way to go, for sure.
The black eye was like this big. He was my head coach was pretty mad, but it's definitely something I remember of meeting Ferraris. And eventually down the line, that same year of college, COVID happened, and they kicked everybody out of school. So I went back to my hometown, Baltimore, and I started doing dumb stuff, selling stuff I shouldn't have sold, and making bad decisions. And Ferrari seen it on my Instagram one day, and he slid up on the story and was like, "Hey, bro, you gotta stop doing this. Get your ass down to Demolition." I was like, "What the hell is Demolition?" He was like, "You want to fight?" Because he's always heard me talk about it. And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." He said, "Come to Demolition." So I packed my bags up, came here a week later.
That's awesome.
Moved into the back of the gym, actually.
So you were living in the gym, like when the country was all shut down and stuff like that?
Yep, we were living in the back of the gym, and my first fight was actually in the backyard of someone's house. And we set the boxing ring up, and it was in the backyard because we couldn't have events in arenas because they were all the arenas were all weird and stuff because of COVID.
Right.
That's the original UFC. The underground fighting championship.
Yes. It was crazy. Probably like 30 people there.
That's awesome.
So was MMA always kind of something you had in the back of your mind? Was that something you thought about before you started wrestling, or kind of once you picked up wrestling, you thought, "Oh, this is something I could do too"?
When I was at Notre Dame, UFC fighters would come in there all the time, and I would see them. I would like peek in, see them training. They would leave the room private, kind of, so they could go in there. Jessica I, fighters like Kobe Fair, Joey Davies, he's a Bellator vet right now. They would always be in there, and I would always peek in, get a little glimpse. I'm like, "What the hell are they doing? They're punching each other." And then eventually, I just was like, "Yeah, screw it, let's try it." And wrestlers are taking over the UFC pretty much, like Khabib, everybody, Usman. They're just dominating everybody at their weight class. So I thought I had a good chance with the level of wrestling I have.
I would agree with that. I definitely think wrestling is the best base for MMA.
Yes.
You know, you dictate where the fight takes place, and that's huge.
Yeah, yep.
So talk about kind of your amateur MMA experience. You know, you finished 7-2. What kinds of things did you learn along the way, and what's kind of something that maybe you didn't think you would learn, if that kind of makes sense?
Something I learned along the way was to always stay some type of ready for a fight, because as an amateur fighter, there's people going to be backing out every second because there's other people that aren't doing it, because my goal when I first started becoming amateur was to make it to the UFC. Some guys' goals in amateur are, I want to fight a few fights, post a few pictures, and get the hell out of there. So there's always going to be them guys that see me, or let's say you're fighting and you're trying to take it on 100%. They're like, "Damn, I don't want nothing to do with that." But then there's going to be the guy next week who's ready to go against you. "Hey, I want to do that. Let's do it. Let's throw some hands." And just stay ready for every possible opportunity you can get. Shake hands with people. Put your feet in doors you've never been in before. And something that I didn't think I was going to learn is it's way more than just training every day. It's mental. It's what you eat. It's how you sleep. It's who you're surrounded around. It's what you do every day of your life, how you treat other people, how people treat you. It's way more than just coming to the gym and training one time a day. It's your whole life. You got to do it 100%, or you cannot do it at all.
So what's your fastest turnaround for a fight? You said you always got to be ready, so.
Actually, when I turned pro, I fought at heavyweight, and then 6 days later, I fought at middleweight at 185.
Wow.
And that was March 7th, and then March 13th or something.
Wow.
Had a fight within that time frame. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
What was the weight cut like there? Was that something you struggled with?
That was my first cut to 85, but me and my coach knew that if I took this fight, it would get me quick to the top quicker because of the high level the guy I was going against. He was a black belt, and it was only my second pro fight. And we knew if we beat this guy that it would bump me up a little higher and get the attention on me. So I actually got 26 pounds in 5 days for that one. Yeah, it was pretty horrible.
Yeah, that's
By the fourth day, I was already pissing black. It was pretty bad. And the day before we left, the fight was in Mississippi. The day before we left, I was in the bathtub, and I was literally questioning my entire life because of how much weight I was cutting. I was about to text Coach. I was like, Coach, I don't know if I can do it. And that was the moment I was like, we gotta go all the way in, or I gotta quit right now. So,
how close were you the night before?
I think we were still 5 over the night before, I was already 26 hours into not eating or drinking.
wow.
So.
Wow, that's crazy. But that takes balls. I mean, that'll put your name out there for sure.
It was the scariest moment I've had of a weight cut. That weight cut. It made me never want to do it wrong after that.
That's fair. Yeah.
So we've talked about your wrestling background, but you're also a 12-0 amateur boxer. What was it like training in a new discipline?
At first, it was very weird because I couldn't take the shot or go for the takedown. But my coach did a good job of training me for each fight and putting me in there against high-level boxers that have been doing it longer than me. So definitely different, but towards the end of doing so many fights, I eventually got the techniques down and got comfortable throwing my hands if I need to.
What are some of the differences that you've noticed between pure boxing striking versus MMA striking?
Probably that you can go to sleep with one of these in MMA, and then you need a couple of them with the boxing gloves. So
I gotcha.
That's about it. So I'm a little bit more comfortable with just standing in the pocket and taking a few of the punches with the boxing gloves on because 16, 14-ounce gloves. MMA gloves are 4 ounces. One of them can clip you and put you out, so you're a little bit more cautious with the hands.
So for your professional debut, you fought in Jorge Masvidal's Icon Fighting Championships.
Yeah.
You didn't come out on top there, but what were some things you took away from your first experience as a professional athlete?
I made the moment of fighting in front of that crowd way bigger than what it was supposed to be. Seeing Jorge Masvidal, there was professional NFL players ringside, cameras everywhere. It was the first time I was on a promotion where oh shit, I'm here. And I was in my head, I was like, oh shit, I'm here, over and over again. And I made the moment way bigger than what it had to be when it just had to be another day in the office. And since that fight, I've realized just do my thing. Regardless how many cameras, how many people are there, how many people are watching, just go do my thing. They're going to like what they see.
Which is good to learn so young. I mean,
yeah.
The lights get pretty bright, so.
Yeah, they got bright quick as soon as that. And that fight was on 2 days' notice that I took for that fight. And I was like, oh shit, Masvidal's manager just called me and he wants me to fight on his show. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, I'm here. And it's from there on out until I landed in the cage, I was freaking out. Just making the moment bigger than what it was. And it's a big moment, but when you make it as big as it is in your head, you freak yourself out. You don't perform how good you should perform.
Once you stepped into the cage, did you find yourself calming down a little bit more?
No, not for that. Not for the first one. Not for the first one. That was probably the most nervous I've been out of all my fights. I ran in. I remember, it's crazy how you remember these moments. I ran in. I was looking for Masvidal ringside just so I could give him a smile or something, and that freaked me out more when I seen him. Because you watch these guys on TV and you're like, oh yeah, I'll eventually be there one day, and then you're there and you're like, oh shit, what do I do now?
That's an intimidating individual to say the least.
Yeah, and it's his show. He's recording me as I'm walking out. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. In my head, I'm just.
It's like the teacher in the back taking notes. You don't know if it's good or bad. They're like, all right.
Yeah. It was a crazy moment for sure. And I wasn't going against a bad opponent. He was a 3-1 professional fighter. Already won Jorge Cerrone, Cowboy Cerrone's It series or whatever, title and everything. So went against a good opponent.
So in your next fight, you walked away with your first professional victory. What was that feeling kind of like knowing, man, I did it?
That's when I realized I really love like MMA. I really love doing the sport. I really loved the feeling of how it felt to win, especially now that I'm getting paid to do it. Knowing I was walking out of the cage, getting some money for putting in the hard work and being able to pay my trainers and everything, made me feel good. Made me feel real good.
This isn't something that you'll normally see, but if you don't mind me asking, what does pay look like for fighters on the regional scene?
Usually it's a contract that they set you up with. Depending on if you're a 1-fight contract or you're a 3 or 4-fight contract, the price will higher every time to something higher as long as you keep winning. And usually the UFC Fight Pass promotions, they'll opt out Bellator and UFC, so you can leave the contract whenever you want if it's for them promotions. But like, if I was, you guys know B2 Fighting Series?
Yeah, of course.
If I was to ask, hey, can I go fight for B2 Fighting Series? I wouldn't be allowed to because it's not higher than LFA.
Right.
So you're only allowed to leave for them type of promotions. But to pay for them promotions, it's usually anything above $1,000, no less than $1,000, and it goes up before that. So for show and pay. So if I was to get $1,000 to show, wait, and show up to the ring, and then I win that night, I'll get another $1,000. So I end up with $2,000, and then the next fight it'll go up to $2,000 and $2,000. So as long as you keep winning, your pay goes up as you're on UFC Fight Pass promotions like that.
I gotcha.
That's cool.
So you brought up B2, and you are the owner of the fastest knockout in B2 championships fighting history.
Yes.
B2 fighting championships history, my bad.
Yeah.
9 seconds. Wow. Talk about that moment.
Before we walked out into the cage, I was telling my coach, I'm about to knock this guy out. And I just kept, like, the way he was holding himself, his demeanor at the face-offs. I just had something in my head. Like, when I go in there, I know I'm going to submit someone and take him down. In my head, I'm like, I'm going to submit him. I'm going to take him down. I'm going to walk him across the cage and put him in front of my coach. I try to make it happen. In reality, in my head, I was like, Coach, I'm going to knock him out with a left hook, right hand. And then I went out there. At first, I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. He threw his combo, and I circled. Boom, boom. And then it was like, oh, shit, he went down. And like, you don't feel, when I knocked him out, I didn't feel his chin click because it was such a light, it's just a light punch, but I've seen his body fall. And I was like, oh, that's pretty fucking crazy. That was the first time I landed a punch right on somebody's button, because you got buttons on your face in certain spots to where if it's clicked at all, it'll put you down. And that's exactly where I hit him, and he fell asleep. It was crazy. It was one of the craziest moments I had as a fighter.
So after that, you got offered a multi-fight deal with Legacy Fighting Alliance. What has your experience been like with them so far?
Amazing. They've took very good care of me. They've allowed me to have time in between my fights to become the true fighter I am and get more experience. They put me against top prospects in the world that they believed that I could go against. And every event they've flown me out to, they've took care of my food. They've took real good care of me, and I'm happy that I chose that promotion to finish my, I guess, semi-pro career out before I get to the big show. And they've done a real good job with me.
So your most recent fight with Liddell Poag, what was kind of your game plan going into that one?
At first, it was just going to take him out and tap him out. And then he did this article online where he talked about how he was from the trenches and that he's a real trenches baby and he wants it more than me. And after I seen that, I just wanted to knock him out for real. So that made me mad. I don't know if you guys seen the face-offs or anything, but we were arguing pretty bad in the face-offs, and we wanted to kill each other. But after that, I wanted to knock him out and put him to sleep. But I just wanted, after I seen that, I felt disrespected kind of, and I wanted to, because he trains with John Jones. He trains at
Jackson Wink.
Yeah, he trains at Jackson Wink, and I felt like they were kind of outing me from that fight automatically because I'm at a smaller gym. So I was like, nah, like I'm coming, I'm going to take your head off, and you're going to have to kill me if you want to win this fight. So I told my coach, I was like, I feel disrespected now. And it kind of put me in the mood to want to beat him more and like really hurt him when I was in there. So I just wanted to kill him after I seen that article.
Little underdog mentality type thing. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So after the fight, you went to shake his hand, but he did not go to shake your hand. What do you think of that? Like, kind of on a sportsmanship level.
I feel like after the fight's done, that's it. Like, I've took losses in my career, and regardless, whatever loss I've shook my opponent's hand afterward because that day you were the better man. You beat me. You did more to get the win than me. Regardless what the judges say, regardless what the fans say, we just did something nobody else has done before. Not many people have done before. We got in this cage. We beat the shit out of each other for 15 minutes. It's over. So then he was like, no. So I was like, all right, screw you. I hate you again. I want to kill you again. So.
So a rematch is on the way. Is that what we're hearing?
I don't think he'll take it, but if he did, it wouldn't even make sense now.
So we've noticed a lot on social media. You've been doing kind of some Brazilian jiu-jitsu and kind of pro grappling type tournaments. Mm-hmm. What's your experience been like with those, and do you plan on continuing to do that type of stuff?
Yeah, I actually train under Spartan Jiu-Jitsu Club, and after I realized LFA was spreading my fights out a little bit, I wanted to do something to get my craft together and work on other aspects of when I get on top of people and feel more comfortable in them areas. So I've been going with black belts, brown belts, and it just gave me something to look forward to as I'm waiting for the next fight. And I'm trying to go against all the top belts and everything in Ohio. Done tournaments with Dante Leon. He's a number 3 black belt in the world, and my coach is belted underneath of him, so I get to roll with a lot of good, experienced guys, which allow me to get my ground game better after I take someone down.
Kind of you have a strong wrestling background, obviously. Is it weird being on your back for jiu-jitsu?
It was at first, but now if I need to go there and I get there, I did my last fight against Lydell, I have ways out to where I didn't before, to where we go to all 4 in wrestling. Now I can sit on my back and set up something with my hips and like a submission to get on top. And at the beginning of my last fight with Lydell, I went for a flying knee like a dummy and landed on my back and got up with a Kimura that I learned in jiu-jitsu. So there's always all the different arts of martial arts, and there's always something you can use in a fight when you're in an MMA fight.
So we've talked about you as the fighter, but let's kind of transition to you as the coach. What kinds of things has coaching taught you so far in your career?
Coaching has taught me more about what I can do for myself also. Like I said to you before, it's way more than just walking in here every day and just doing a practice a day. It's 3 practices, and it's 2 with your people that look up to you, kids that look up to you. And that also jumps on having fans and changing the careers of them kids when they get older. Because when they see me in here and I'm training, then I come over and train them. They're going to do what I teach them in the future when they want to coach and when they want to fight. So I feel like me being able to spread the knowledge to the little bitty wrestlers I train, and the little guys that come in here and want to learn how to throw 1-2, they're going to take that with them for the rest of their life because they trust me with what I'm teaching them. And then they're going to go teach that to other people. And I really feel like every kid should at least do 1 year of some type of MMA, because it'll teach them way more than just how to punch. It'll teach them about life, how to get through things, how to do everything in life. I feel like even girls, guys, everything, they'll learn so much about life and fighting, and learn how to protect themselves if they ever get in a fight in school or jumped on the street, just by a year of classes.
For sure. What kinds of satisfaction do you get? Because I see you sometimes at high school wrestling tournaments and stuff like that when you see a kid you've been coaching get their hand raised.
That is that's better feeling than any win or anything, honestly. I'll have my kids send me pictures of them with their medals and stuff, or they'll say, "Thank you, coach," and they have a whole team of coaches at their high school, but they meet with me once a week, and they're like, "Thank you, coach, for teaching me everything." That satisfies me more than any win, just knowing that this kid's looking up to me, and I could be changing their life, and they could be the next UFC superstar or wrestling state champ or national champ, and it makes me feel good that they're trusting me with their sport and their craft, because when I was growing up, I've trusted a lot of coaches with teaching me stuff too. It makes me feel real good.
Yeah, because we know, everybody who's played sports or done anything knows that it's just as important to have the relationship with the kids that you're teaching as it is to actually teach them what you're doing. Any sport, anything you're doing. So that's really huge that you're doing that, and even at such a young age, and you have that the knowledge of that.
Yeah, I'm big on paying attention to all the kids, even if you can see, because there's some kids that really probably shouldn't be doing the sport because they're eventually going to move away from it, but just giving them that attention to show them, hey, you can change this. Hey, you could just in case, because there's going to be some kids that come in here and they'll never become a national champ or they'll never go to UFC, but just to give them that attention, to give them hope, that's all they need. That's all they need.
So we've talked about kind of your experience coaching the younger generation of martial artists, but you recently cornered Jaden Talker at Bellator 288 over in Chicago. What was that experience like working with a big promotion like Bellator?
Definitely got me super excited, and in the next week of practice, I was probably one of the most motivated I've ever been in my life because of it's just a crazy experience. It was my first time seeing like that high level of love because they were treating him like the president while he was there. So, and he was one of my first training partners when I came to Demolition. So, it was definitely a crazy experience, and it made me more exciting to get to that experience because. That's where I just picture myself being in the UFC, Bellator, that type of stuff. So it was definitely cool seeing one of my brothers, one of my teammates, get to show off his skills at that highest level.
Little off topic here. Did you see Khabib there? Was he walking around at all?
No, he was not there, but I was looking literally everywhere. Everywhere, bro, everywhere. I did sit in the sauna with Pitbull and his brother.
Oh, that's sweet.
That was pretty badass.
That's awesome.
I didn't know anything they were saying because I don't think they know English that well.
Right.
So I wanted to be like, hey, what's up? But I didn't know if they were going to understand what I said, so I didn't want to look dumb.
Yeah.
But they definitely, I seen like all the Khabib cousins and stuff.
Right.
And like that. I seen them walking around Khabib, and they all look alike. They literally are all savages. It's crazy.
They all have the same beard.
All beard. They all weigh in the same way. They're all scary as hell.
Same mannerisms. Yeah.
Just all scary as hell. It's crazy.
So we've talked about you as a coach. We've talked about you as a fighter. Let's talk about you as a promoter a little bit. You know, you've launched Mindless Mania boxing series. What has that experience been like from a promoter standpoint?
Definitely stressful at most of the time until the event's over. It's allowed me to realize how I should act as a fighter to other promotions. Like, it taught me how to what makes the promoter less stressed, like having your paperwork in at this time, showing up at this time, being on time at this time. I've been with so many promotions. I fought in Alabama, Kentucky, all over the place, and I've realized what the best things are do in one promotion. And the reason why I started Mindless Mania Boxing Series because I started at the venue 18 that I hold the events at. That's where I started my career at. And my coach would bring in people from out of state to box me at that arena. And I thought, well, if I can do that for other fighters that I train with, because the whole lineup's my fighters, people I train with, and I match them up with people out of state, other gyms that gets them more attention and more clout to get their name up to the higher ranks quicker. So it allows me to show other fighters how to do it. And it allows me to help out my fighters get the experience they need instead of just going people locally. We'll get them in there with people that are from here, and bring them into my show. And it's also another way that I can express my brand and show people who I am.
Would you say that that's your favorite part of the promoter process is matchmaking?
Yeah, I like the matchmaking part, and then I like looking at I like being able to be face-to-face with the face-offs and not be the guy facing off. Like, I can break the people up if I need to.
Right, you're the guy in the background.
Yeah, I'm the Dana White of my series, and it's pretty cool.
And it's cool just to have so many different views. Like you said, you've been the fighter, you've been the coach, you've been the promoter. I mean, you've seen every different level of the entire sport. And just to have all the different points of view is really cool.
Yeah, and it allows me to know when, like someone's doing something wrong to me in, like, a different promotion. So, like, if LFA did some weird stuff to me, I would see that coming from a mile away because I've talked to promoters, I've talked to the matchmakers. I know how they talk. I know how they hustle. So I know how to see through that before they even try it now, so they can't hustle me.
Yeah, there's no taking advantage.
Yeah,
you know all sides of the dice, so it's awesome.
So we've referenced a lot to your social media. One thing that you post a lot about is your father. Mm. What kind of influence has he had on your life and your career thus far?
Before I even started fighting, me and him weren't even on good terms. And sorry.
No, it's okay. Take all the time you need.
He told me we were gonna ask it. I thought I was gonna be able to do it smooth.
We can skip it if you need to.
No,
I can edit this out.
We're good. Before I even started fighting, we were on bad terms with each other, and I was just trying to do something that he didn't really understand. He didn't do MMA. He didn't wrestle, and we always would get in arguments and stupid stuff like that. It taught me to keep people that you care about close, and if it's a petty argument, if you have family and you're arguing with them, just talk to them. Just keep them close by your heart, because there's gonna be a time you wake up and they might not be there no more. And since he passed away a couple months ago, it's motivated me to try to let him live through me. And I hope every day that he's watching down and paying attention to what I'm doing, because it's woke up something inside of me that never been there before when I first started fighting. And I try to speak to him through the sport, and the sport does way much more for me than just that. And that's why I wish that everybody would do at least a year of it, because if it wasn't for the sport, I don't think I would have been able to get through the things I was thinking during that. Because even though we was arguing, that was one of my best friends. So
I'm sure he would be very proud of your accomplishments so far.
Thank you.
So to kind of switch it up a little bit, what do you think of the current state of the UFC's middleweight division? You know, Izzy was kind of lapping everybody for a little while, then Pereira shows up and knocks him out. You know, Robert Whittaker's always a fight away from getting back into the title picture. What are your kind of thoughts on that?
Definitely going to have to beat all their asses when I get there for sure. I think if I had to go fight for the title right now against him, I could beat him. He doesn't have wrestling. After I seen him fight Izzy took him down and sat on top for as long as he won. I feel like I would just have to. He has good power. He's a strong hitter, but I feel like I can take them punches, and I feel like I can beat a lot of people in the top 20 right now as we're sitting here. And I told my coach this, and he believes it too. The team I have around me and the trainers I have around me, I think I can beat 98% of the top 20 right now. Like, I could step in the UFC cage and beat them right now. I just got to get that shot.
Right. And as you continue to get better, you know, your wrestling skills are all obviously there. You know, you're working on jiu-jitsu. I think that would be a good matchup. You know, like you said, Pereira's a kickboxer.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't have a strong grappling background like you do. So I would love to see that matchup someday once you get up there.
Yeah. If they don't match him up the wrong way and let a wrestler get his hands on him, before I do, I'm going to beat the shit out of him when I get there.
So this is kind of a basic question. Who is your favorite MMA fighter? Do you have a favorite or any kind of influences or anything like that?
I really like watching GSP fight, like old school GSP. How exciting he was, all the different weird stuff he would do. I like watching Wonder Boy a lot. And Khabib. Wonder Boy, Khabib, and GSP. Those are my top three.
So you were watching Wonder Boy a couple weeks ago, then, right?
Yeah.
We lost a bet because of the Wonder Boy fight and had to jump into my pond.
It was cold.
It was cold. It was 20 degrees out.
Oh, man.
It all came down to we were picking fights, like we were just going through all of them, and everybody was 6 and 7 at the end.
Yeah.
So it came down to if you would pick Kevin Holland or Wonder Boy.
I have buddies that hit me up and ask me for betting picks and stuff, and I'm like, I like Holland. He's exciting, but Wonder Boy is dangerous everywhere. Like, he can kick, he can defend a shot. If he needs to get the takedown, he can get the takedown, and he's tough. Nobody wants to fight him. And he's either going to get knocked out. He's either going to get knocked out or knock somebody out in his fights. It's just how it goes.
That was a very exciting fight. That was definitely the fight of the night for us, I think.
That was a crazy fight.
So talk about your upcoming fight with Wes Schultz. What kinds of things are going through your head, and what have you been working on in training camp thus far?
I know Wes Schultz is a good wrestler, but I can defend a good wrestler's shot. I have a lot of good wrestling training partners. I'm not worried about Wes Schultz at all in my head. He's a great athlete. He's a great fighter. He's 3-0. He's got to be good, and he's fighting on the same program as me. All I'm worried about is what I'm going to do in there and how I'm going to finish him. And I know that if I go in there and I finish Wes Schultz on January 13th, I'm going to get the call to the UFC. And that's my main goal, and that's what I want to do. So I'm going to go in there and finish Wes Schultz on January 13th.
All right, and last question for you. What is your best hot take? We are Hot Take Sports. We always make sure to close out our interviews with this question.
Best hot take?
Hot take.
Well, it sounds like we just got one. Finishing Wes Schultz on January 13th.
There we go.
My favorite hot take is I'm gonna finish West Charleston January 13th.
Perfect. That's what we like to hear. Well, that's kind of everything we had for you. Is there anything you'd like to shout out? Any sponsors, upcoming events? I know Mindless Mania's got an event coming up here on New Year's Eve.
Mindless Mania Boxing Series will be hosted at Venue 18 Entertainment Complex New Year's Eve. There'll also be an after party. These guys should be there too. Tickets on the house. And there's going to be 10 to 12 fights. Pay-per-view event also. Shout out Mancho's Lounge Restaurant, Holy Hill Media, and Drake Jimenez for being a great manager and setting all this up today. And Thrax, THC, CBD, they always take care of my recovery time, and Demolition Fight Team. I appreciate you guys.
All right. And this concludes episode 3 of Combat Talk with the Mindless Hulk, Dylan Budka. Dylan,
Yes,
it was an absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks for
coming.
All right. Make sure to follow us on all our social medias at Hot Take Sports 16. Check out Drew Seifert Racing and use code HTS at SeatGeek. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see y'all next time.